This news update is brought to you by
Grab somebody and tell them hello. Your happiness will be connected to flow. Smile and cheer because that is we flow. Grab somebody and tell them hello. With your hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air. This is how we flow, yeah. Grab somebody and tell them this is how we flow.
This is the Barbados Today evening news update for Thursday, July 30th. Thank you for joining us. I am Mary-Claire Williams. At this hour, Finance Minister Chris Sinckler and the top brass of the National Union of Public Workers and the Barbados Workers Union are locked behind closed doors in search of a solution to the crippling go-slow by customs officers. They are protesting plans to merge the department with the Barbados Revenue Authority. The unions met yesterday, but they remained tight-lipped, promising to give details after the talks with the Finance Minister. Last week, Sinckler told Barbados Today the officers cannot be forced to go to BRA if they indicate they are not interested in going. There are concerns over a lack of appropriate legislation ahead of an August 15 deadline for submission of client information to the Barbados Revenue Authority over the U.S. Foreign Account Tax Compliant Act. Commercial banks and other financial institutions could be fined up to $50,000 if they do not comply. But BRA's General Counsel, Deva Leslie Ward, is giving assurances that the income tax automatic exchange information regulation will be ready within a matter of weeks. Leslie Ward says if the legislation is not passed before August 15, BRA would take that into consideration.
The Barbados Revenue Authority is a regulatory agency, and we recognize that regulation must always be done within reasonable confines. And obviously, if the legislation is not passed, we will not have a legal basis for imposing any penalty. The regulations will have to be proclaimed in order for us to be able to exercise that right. And even in that case, I do not believe, I can't speak on behalf of the authority at this stage, but I do not believe that we will be looking to impose the penalties stringently in consideration of the fact that the regulations would not have been proclaimed. I don't believe that that would be an approach taken at all.
The authority also has a deadline of September 30th in which it must transmit information collected to the U.S. IRS. Independent Senator John Watson is calling on government to live up to its 2008 promise to give 40% of its trade to small businesses. Watson told Barbados Today in the 7 years since the DLP has been in office, only a few government departments have dedicated a percentage of their purchases of goods and services to small businesses. He pointed to this year's budget that has set aside $1.5 billion for the purchase of goods and services. And Watson noted that 40% of that figure could result in a significant number of jobs.
$600 million is a lot of money to be spread across the small business sector. Even if you took, 25% of that, and small businesses were able to benefit from that, you could imagine the growth and development that you would get from the small business sector. One is that it takes very little in additional capital for a small business to employ one additional person. So I am sure that with that amount into the small business sector, you would easily create the 5,000 or 10,000 jobs, additional jobs that you need in Barbados. I do not think that you would lose that amount of jobs from the other sector.
On the eve of the start of the crop over weekend, police are appealing to the public to maintain the peace while enjoying the festivities. The Acting Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of operations, Euclid Thompson, made the call at a news conference this afternoon.
We are urging both revelers and bystanders to conduct themselves in a civil and dignified manner, free of the use of weapons and free of acts of disorder and lawlessness. Now, every year, the Queen Elizabeth Hospital is inundated with patients injured at crop over, especially at 4-day morning jam and Grand Kaduma. If there are no weapons, it's highly likely that injuries will not be, and if there are, they'll be at a minimum. Barbadians and visitors must be able to enjoy the festival without bringing harm to each other.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
CBC is bringing Crop Over your way. Enjoy the color, the sights, and the sounds of the Barbados Crop Over Festival. Simply log on to www.barbadostoday.bb and book your favorite event. For just $25 or 51 Barbados dollars each, you can watch Soco Royale or Piccadilly Crop Finals. And for just $10 or 21 Barbados dollars, overseas viewers can watch Grand Kadooment. Be in the festival. Log on to www.barbadostoday.bb and book now. With CBC and Barbados Today, Crop Over is only a click away.
Secure your future, be financially strong. Since 1983, we have been there for you. A smart range of products, great tax benefits. We're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. Humble beginnings to smart loans, smart savings. Save smart and borrow smarter. That's the move for me. Stability, prosperity. We're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union.
Got it in my hand, yeah. My Barbados, my bank. Got to understand, yeah. My Barbados, my bank. Ain't nothing like a core bank spare. None of them others just can't compare. You just got to love that taste. It's a world-class thing this land makes. Whether I'm cruising or at a bar, whether I'm at home, my bank spare is never far. For this blessing, got to give God thanks. My Barbados, my bank.
In news from the region, St. Vincent's Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves says his country's $1.5 billion national debt is manageable. Gonsalves stated that compared to Antigua's figure of $139.5 million and Dominica's $23.6, as well as Grenada's $28.8 million, St. Vincent's debt increased by $14.13 million during the period ending March 2015. This showed the least growth within the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union during that period. And speaking on the nation's fiscal situation, Gonsalves said Kingstown is performing creditably both in relation to the primary and overall balance on the fiscal accounts. The UK's Prime Minister David Cameron is insisting that Britain will not become a safe haven for migrants, following a third night of people attempting to cross the Channel illegally. Hundreds of migrants who have made the journey from North Africa to Italy are currently in Calais in the north of France, but many are hoping to enter Britain.
It's not yet Sangatte, but the camp known as the Jungle is beginning to look permanent. These past few months it's ballooned into a small village, home to some 3,000 migrants, squalid but surprisingly organised. There are showers, a shop, even a centre that offers advice on UK immigration. And it's that same spirit of organisation that now extends to the nightly attempts on the tunnel. They work in groups and in tandem.
So dusk is starting to fall, and many of the people here will have collected their daily food handout in these little white plastic bags, and now they will set off on a 10-kilometre walk towards Coquel and the Eurotunnel terminal, and it'll take them up to 2 hours to get there.
But if you're someone like 25-year-old Nasruddin from Sudan, who took 3 months to cross a desert, survived the Mediterranean crossing, then a thin police line and a fence are of little deterrent.
You think you'll get there tonight, to England?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah?
But I'm trying.
Do you know people who have died trying?
Yes, of course.
David Cameron says Britain will not become a safe haven for swarms of migrants. But what of the genuine cases, those fleeing persecution and torture?
And that's the news. For more news, log on to www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper or email updates and like us on Facebook. You can catch us on Izumi Media in bus terminals or screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. Also, tune in to Channel 101 on Line TV or Mix 96.9 FM. I am Marie-Claire Williams. Good evening.
Our valued partners for the BT Cropover Superstar Competition: Flow, Banks, the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc., Izumi Media, and Liberty Store.